Honorable Boyce did not actually get a chance to take the stand as Honorable Floyd Hall was still being examined for the entire remainder of the afternoon session. Senior counsel to the commission, Alex Milne, took Honorable Hall back to some points in his previous testimony, including the land sale deal that his brother Quinton Hall was a part of. Milne wanted to find out whether Honorable Hall had received any money from the $1 million that his brother had acquired through the deal. Honorable Hall testified that he received between $25,000 and $50,000 from his brother, but they were over a period of time, and the money was given to him not out of any obligation, but was well within the normal scope of a brother-to-brother relationship. Milne also wanted to find out if Honorable Hall had any involvement in the deal, to which Honorable Hall said no. Milne then wanted to find out why Honorable Hall had left the room during cabinet meetings when the topic of Urban Development Limited, which his brother was a part of, was brought up. Honorable Hall testified that he was not of any obligation to leave the room in those instances, but he said he did so out of courtesy because he knew that his brother was involved in the deal and there would be discussion surrounding him. There was also the issue of several parcels of land being granted to companies for which Honorable Hall had interest in. Milne evidenced that Honorable Hall took a back route approach to getting those parcels by writing letters to the Ministry of Natural Resources requesting those parcels. Honorable Hall testified that they were indeed outside of the stipulated regulations for acquiring the land. However, he said a Crown land policy should be enacted to stop some of these practices. In the line of questioning, Commissioner for the Inquiry, Sir Robin All, wanted to find out from Honorable Hall what impact his back route would have on people who had applied through the regulated route and were interested in parcels of land that Honorable Hall received. Honorable Hall testified that at that time, no one was, quote, queued up, end quote, for those parcels. Issues surrounding the time that Honorable Hall served as Minister of Health were discussed and would fill the remainder of questions from Milne before cross-examination from other lawyers. Milne evidenced that in 2006, two companies, Canadian Medical Network and Trinity Air Ambulance, were recommended by the Tender Board to be considered for a contract with the Turks and Caicos government for overseas medical treatment because of their good track records. According to Milne, however, none of those companies were chosen. Southern Health Network, or SHN, was chosen instead, a company that had only been in existence 2 weeks before they were endorsed for a contract through an oral mention in a cabinet meeting, and a company whose moving spirit was a friend of the then Minister of Health, Honorable Floyd Hall. In response, Honorable Hall testified that SHN was chosen above the other two candidates because it offered much-needed reinsurance for catastrophic medical cases. Honorable Hall testified that the company has been a great asset to the TCI overseas medical care and has reduced costs in some aspects at as much as 50%. Milne still probed why Honorable Hall had not declared his interest with the person behind the company, Delroy Howell. Honorable Hall testified that Howell was very well known on the island and also by his colleagues. He said, quote, "Everybody knew my connection with Delroy Howell." Milne evidenced a critical report that was done in relation to medical care, citing serious failings from both the government and SHN. According to Milne, the report cited that overseas referrals were seasonal in nature, with the summer months seeing a higher amount of referral as opposed to winter months. Honorable Hall testified that the report was not fair in its assessment. During cross-examination by the Premier's lawyer, Edward Fitzgerald, it was revealed that the Premier was at odds with some of Honorable Hall's testimony. According to Fitzgerald, the Premier did not agree that he was in possession of the PNP party's checkbook most of the time, as Honorable Hall has testified. Instead, the Premier said that it was Honorable Hall who had the checkbook most. That argument was challenged during cross-examination by Honorable Hall's lawyer, Oliver Smith, who gave evidence of 5 checks, including amounts of $12,000, $23,100, and $25,000 that were signed only by the Premier, though checks required 2 signatures. Fitzgerald said that the Premier was also at odds with Honorable Hall's account of who loaned him $150,000. According to Fitzgerald, the Premier says that Honorable Hall loaned him the money. However, Honorable Hall had maintained his testimony that his brother loaned the Premier the money. Fitzgerald challenged that testimony on the account that Honorable Hall's brother was not a wealthy man, and the premier would be more inclined to seek to borrow such a large sum from Honorable Hall instead. Honorable Hall rejected those claims. Fitzgerald also challenged the testimony by Honorable Hall concerning the jet that has been brought up in recent testimonies. According to Fitzgerald, Honorable Hall's testimony that the jet was still being paid for was not accurate. He said that the lease for the jet was revoked because of outstanding balances in June of 2008. Honorable Hall testified that he was under the impression that the jet was still being leased. However, he accepted Fitzgerald's account of the issue. Other issues that Honorable Hall sought to clear up during cross-examination by his lawyer included political contributions. According to Smith, Honorable Hall provided the commission with a list showing more than $117,000 of the more than $303,000 in political contributions that were received over a number of years, from 2004 to 2008. The chart covered 9 months. Milne took some time to question Honorable Hall about that list during his final questions after the cross-examinations. According to Milne, some of the payments identified on the list appeared to include personal expenditure. He pointed out a $10,000 payment for Mother's Day celebrations and another $5,000 to Royal Jewels, which Honorable Hall testified could have also been for Mother's Day gifts. According to Honorable Hall, he hosts Mother's Day celebrations for his constituents every year, which has approximately 200 mothers. Milne wanted to find out whether these treats or gifts to constituents, others that Honorable Hall testified included buying plane tickets for students to return home or paying in constituents' utility bills, could be seen by constituents as incentives to vote for him in an election. Honorable Hall testified that he did not agree. He said that he has always conducted himself in a professional manner and has always sought to provide assistance to those in need, not only in his constituency, but in others as well. He said, quote, "If persons are in need and I can assist them, I will do that." That ended Honorable Hall's testimony for the day. Scheduled to appear tomorrow morning is Honorable Jeffrey Hall, whose new attorney is Ariel Mizik. Honorable Lillian Boyce is also scheduled to appear, but not before 2 p.m. For WIV4 News, I'm Joy Del Trail.